Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is a very exciting video. I'm going to be doing my first ever monthly reset, and we're also going to be picking my February TBR, which I am super excited about. So we're going to jump over to my bookshelf really quick because I do want to talk about the books that I have gotten and the things that I have gotten in the month of January. And then we're also going to be talking about the number of pages, the books that I did read in January, and kind of the number of pages, like my statistics. So those are the things we're going to jump into first, and then we'll go ahead and pick my February TBR. The first thing we're going to talk about are the things that I have bought or that I have gotten during the month of January. And I kind of went a little crazy book-wise because I have a lot of new books that I want to talk about. And the first one we'll talk about is I did get an Owl Crate in the month of January. I do have that monthly subscription, and I did end up receiving A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saft, and has these beautiful pink sprayed edges, and then it has this like amazing pink with like green foiled cover. It does have an alternate dust jacket if I want to flip, and it's got this wonderful cover art. And yeah, I don't literally know anything about this book, but I am super excited to read it just because the cover art does look very nice. And it has a bookmark. I don't have that many books that come with its own little bookmark, which I am excited about. So we do have this new book. And then I love my used bookstore that's in my local area. It is 2nd and Charles. It has new and used books, and a lot of the used books look literally brand new. And I have been on a hunt to buy some Brandon Sanderson books because I do currently have Mistborn in my, like, the mass market paperback, which is super, super, super small, which I don't like. But I have really wanted to get into Brandon Sanderson, and I've been always on a hunt for his used books. But I can never find them because Brandon Sanderson is a very popular fantasy author, and it's been very hard to find used books by him. And I happened to go on just one random weekend to 2nd and Charles, checked out the fantasy section, and I have found some Brandon Sanderson books. So the first book that I did get was Skyward, and I literally know nothing about any of these books, but I definitely wanted to read them after I get finished with the Mistborn trilogy. But we do have Skyward, which I believe is book 1 in a trilogy, I think, maybe. I don't know. But we have Skyward. And then we also have, or I also got Starlight, which is the sequel to this. It is in a bigger box. Like, I wish they were the same size, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. I got them used, so, you know, I'll take what I can get. But then we have Starlight. So, in addition to the Skyward and Starsight, I also found, which I have wanted to read this because I think Katie's Reading and Olivia Reads a Latte, I think, had talked about these books. I know Katie is Reading has because she's been trying to finish the series for a while, but I also found used the entire, like the, what is it called? The Stormlight Archive, and these books are so massive. So I have Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, and Oathbringer. So I do have those books that I found used at my used bookstore. So my Brandon Sanderson book haul is this, which is amazing. And I also have Mistborn in mass market paperback, and then I also have another book by him that is like a standalone. It's not part of a series, but I do have that as well. So I have a total of 7 Brandon Sanderson books that are going to be on my shelf that I need to read. And then I was reading, and I think this is in another, my last weekly vlog, but I was watching Heather McLary's vlog, I think, one of her vlogs recently, and she had seen that Barnes & Noble has special editions of Ninth House and Hellbent. So I did purchase both of these books. I do intend on reading this book in a future video, so definitely make sure that you subscribe to my channel so that you'll be seeing that video in the upcoming future. But I do plan on reading this, which I'm super excited about. Hopefully I will like it and will continue to read this. And I think she said, I did not realize that this was not a finished series, but I think she said that it is supposed to be a trilogy. So there's one more book that's planned to come out. So I did buy Ninth House and Hellbent. And then I also, the last books that I bought were, I went to Barnes & Noble, and when I was looking for Ninth House, I also was stumbling just kind of around looking to see what other books were out there, and I saw Crescent City 1 and 2. So this is House of Earth and Blood, and then this is House of Sky and Breath. I have not read either one of these, but these are the Barnes & Noble special editions. I do plan on reading these books as soon as I finish ACOTAR. So my plan is finish ACOTAR in May, the end of May of 2024. And then I'll have June, July, and then the third Crescent City book that's just going to come out at the end of, actually that's going to come out I think tomorrow. I'll read that the following month. So hopefully I will have these all read in 2024 as well. And then the last thing that I got in January, which I'm super excited about, was in my owl crate. In addition to the book that I showed originally, I did receive a tote, and the tote that I got was from Once Upon a Broken Heart, and it is the Hollow, In for Travelers and Adventurers, and it's so cute. And then on the sides, it has like the fox on it, which I love. I plan on making this my tote for when I go to book club, or whenever I'm just kind of going out on the town and I want to bring my book or my Kindle or something. This is definitely going to be in my possession. So I'm super excited about my new tote. And that is all of the books and like bookish things that I got for the month of January. I definitely went overboard when it comes to books. I did not plan on buying this many books, but I just could not pass up the 5 books that were used at my bookstore. I never see them used, and I had to pick them up because I knew if I did not get them then, I would not find them again. So I had to get those. And if I did not see the Brandon Sanderson, I would have just bought the 4 books, which is kind of what I expected for this month. So that's what the books that I bought. And now we're going to talk about really quickly the books that I have read and are reading. So my goal for this month was to read 10 books in January. I did read all of my planned TBR, and I have already started on my 11th book, which I should have done by the end of January. So I should be on 11 books total for my 2024 reading goals. But I did want to, really quickly, I made a note on my Notion of just like 1 or 2 sentences of every book that I read, and just that way I'd have something that I would remember about that particular book. So let's run through those. So the first book that I read in January, I do not have, it's a Kindle version, so I'll make sure I put up the picture on the screen, but that was Barbarian Alien. I rated it 3 stars. On my Notion, I don't have like the point, like 3 point something. It's just whether it's a 3-star or 4-star, 5-star, whatever. So I'm just going to give you that. I don't remember exactly what it was rated, but I'll give you a generic what the rating was. So I rated it 3 stars, and what I wrote was, here for the vibes and not the plot. I think that's a really good synopsis of that particular book. The second book that I read, or that I finished, was ACOTAR. So this I read, I gave it 4 stars. Again, it was probably like 4.5, but on here again, I'm just rating it a whole number. So I rated this 4 stars, and I said, love Tamlin and Reese, but cannot wait for the next book. I have since reading this I started out really liking Tamlin, and obviously toward the end you start kind of going to Rhys. So I definitely favor Rhys much more than Tamlin, because Tamlin kind of irritated me a little bit on like the way he was acting in ACOTAR, but did definitely enjoy it. Cannot wait for the next book, and so this was definitely a good read for the month. The next book that I read was The Kiss Quotient, and I rated this 4 stars. And I said this book was in third person and didn't feel connected to the character. So this was probably just a solid 4 star. It wasn't like 4 point something else. But I did really like it. But again, a book that's in the third person and it doesn't have dual POV. Did it not have dual? I'm pretty sure it doesn't have dual POV. Let me think. Yeah, it doesn't have dual POV. So it kind of took me out of the story, and I just couldn't rate it any higher than 4 stars. The next book I do not have again, and that was The Serpents and Wings of Night. I read this on Kindle. I gave this 4 stars, and I wrote, enjoyed but would have liked more if Rain's POV was there. So it was only in the female character's point of view, and I definitely love romances that you have the dual point of view, because I feel really connected to the story that way. The next book I read was Love Redesigned. I gave this 4 stars as well. I said it was very cute, would have given 5 stars, but just didn't have that feeling. So this one I think was a 4.75. It was just, everything was there that I liked about this book. I didn't have that feeling. This was probably the closest to 5 stars that I've had for the month. I just couldn't get exactly to the 5 stars. The next book that I read was Fix Her Up. I gave this 3 stars, and I said that I didn't really enjoy the MMC's personality because it kind of flipped completely at the end. I do talk about this in my weekly vlog, so if you'd be wanting a little bit more information on this book, definitely check that video out. And then the next book was Normal People. This was my first DNF of 2024. If you would again like more information on why I DNF'd this book, then you can check out my weekly vlog. I did talk about it there, but I will say some of the notes that I had was, didn't like the characters or the time jumps, and I think that's a really good synopsis of what I felt about this book. And then we have Meat Eater. Again, this is a Kindle book. This was a book, I listened to it on audio. I did not rate this because it's kind of a biography, and I feel weird rating someone's like words and what they went through and why they chose what they chose to talk about. But I did write that it was an interesting book and love hearing him narrate it. He was a very good narrator, and I loved hearing the stories about when he was a kid and how he grew up and some of the things that he took and how his belief on hunting kind of evolved. So I did really enjoy it. I did not rate it though. And then we have New Moon. This was a reread, and this I rated 5 stars, and the reason why I rated it 5 stars is I said it was 100% nostalgia. So I remember reading this as like in my 20s or 30s. I can't remember when I read this, but I love the movie of Twilight. I love all the series, the movies in Twilight. I love the books, and while this probably isn't the best writing, it still was 100% nostalgia, and I just absolutely loved it. And then we have Firefly Lane. I did not read this version. I had to actually go to my local library, and I got the library version because this is a mass market paperback, and it is 500 pages, and it's very difficult for me to read. So I did end up reading it on using my library's copy, but I rated this 4 stars, and what I said was I expected the ending, and I thought it could have been 100 pages less. So this was basically a story about 2 friends and how they grew up from like teenagers all the way into like their adulthood after having kids. And I kind of expected the ending. But it was still good. I literally cried for the entire 30 pages at the end of this book. The last 30 pages I was tearing up multiple times, ugly cry. It got me. It was really good. It wasn't 5 star, but it was a very good read. And I'm glad I finally was able to read this. And then the last book that is that I'm currently reading. This was not on my planned TBR, but because I have a few days left in the month of January, I went to my bookshelf just to see what other books I could find that I might be able to read fairly quickly and enjoy. And I did pick up Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert. This I am on page 98, chapter 12. And I will say this probably is going to be a book where I comment that it is 90% smut and 10% plot. Within chapter 1, they were already getting at it. So good read if you like smut, but you know, it's a human, half vampire who got basically sold by her dad to a bloodline vampire. So, but it so far has been good. That is all the books that I bought in January. Pause. So those are all of the books that I have read in the month of January, along with all of the books that I have bought and other bookish things in the month of January. And now we're going to jump over to my desk and we are going to really quickly look at my story graph just to kind of talk about what the page count was that I read so far. The month is not over yet, so I still do have like 3 days to read in the month of January. But we'll talk about my story graph and then we're going to go ahead and jump to my February TBR, which I'm super excited about because I cannot wait to read some of the books in February. So we're going to do that now. So looking at story graph so far, again, today is January the 29th, so I do still have several days left for the month of January. But as of right now, I have read 10 books and a total of 10 books and 3,766 pages. And I also had an audiobook that I listened to for a total of 7.02 hours. And just really quickly, just look at my ratings. My average rating for the 8 books that I did score was 4.25. So that is my story graph for January so far. And now we're going to talk about the books that I want to read in February in my February TBR. So I do have some vlogs planned in which I'm going to be reading some books. So I do have some books that I'm not going to show, but I am going to shoot again for a total of 10 books for the month of February, and not counting the books that I'm going to be reading in the vlog, I am going to be reading A Court of Mist and Fury, which I'm so excited about. So we're going to read this, and then I also need to choose 3 TBR cards because the rest of the books are going to be part of 2 different vlogs, and I don't want to talk about them now. You'll have to subscribe to my channel if you want to see what books I'm reading in February. But we're going to really quickly shuffle up these cards, and I'm trying to do this really quickly before my meeting starts. And hopefully I can get this done. You need to shuffle. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Okay, so the first TBR prompt that I have is this one. A book with a purple cover. I just had a purple cover book, but that's okay. And then we're going to choose this one. A book that has a movie TV adaptation. Okay. I already know what book that's going to be. Shuffle, and then we'll do one more. And we're going to do a bottom one. This one. An aesthetic cover. Okay. Easy. Easy peasy. So we're going to choose the books really quickly for these 3 prompts. Okay, so I am back. I picked out the 3 books that I chose based off of my card prompts. And the first prompt that we're going to talk about is a book with an aesthetic cover. And for this one, I chose To Kill a Shadow. This is actually, I believe, a Owl Crate edition. I also have another edition that I bought off of Amazon before I realized that this book was coming in Owl Crate. But this has nice little purple sprayed edges. It has really pretty like cover. And then I believe the interior, does it have something? It does have the like beautiful purple foiling, and then it has nice little cover art. So I am excited for this book. I think this is like a fantasy romance. So this will be the book to satisfy this prompt. And then we have a book with a purple cover. While this book would also satisfy a book with a purple cover, I did also decide to choose We'll Always Have Summer. This is book 3 to the Summer I Turned Pretty series. This would finish up that book, and one of my goals of 2024 was I want to try to finish out as many series as I can while I'm also kind of starting series, because I think To Kill a Shadow is a series, possibly. I'm not sure, but I know I am going to be starting series in 2024, but I still want to try to close as many as I can. So this will be the book that's going to satisfy a book with a purple cover, and it will also satisfy me trying to close out some series in 2024. And then the last book that I have for my prompt is going to be a book with a movie or TV adaptation. And this works out perfectly because I am slowly trying to get through my reread of Twilight, so I'm picking up Eclipse. This is book 3 in the Twilight series, and I'm very excited to get into this piece because this is when things start to really happen. I'm so excited. I'm really trying to remember based on the how the movie is, because all I remember really is the movie piece because I haven't read these books in so long. But I'm really excited to actually read the book so I can see what was kind of excluded from the movie, because you know this book is how many pages? 623, 629 pages. So I'm curious if they cut anything out because I really honestly can't remember. So we're going to be reading Eclipse. I'm so excited. So that's going to take care of my February TBR. So I have the books that I can show you. Are right here. So these are parts of my February TBR. And then I do have 6 other books that are going to be also read, but those are going to be in some vlogs for the month of February. So I don't want to show them yet. You'll just have to tune in so you can see what other books I'm reading in February. So I am super excited. This will be probably book 1 that I read as soon as it hits February 1st. This is going to be read. I cannot wait to see what happens with Feyre, Tamlin, and Rhys, and Lucian, and Nesta, and all of the ACOTAR characters that I have met up to this piece, or to this point. So this will be book 1 of February. But that is going to be my monthly reset. So excited for the month of February. I have some very exciting books that I've been waiting to read, and I cannot wait that I'm actually going to read them this month. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed so far, please make sure you subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will hopefully see you in my next video. Bye.